Hello and welcome to Abdow Avenue. I'm Jason Abdow, and today we are going to be talking about the latest album from Jason Isbell and the 400 unit, The Nashville Sound. For those who are unfamiliar with Jason Isbell, he's a country singer-songwriter who is previously a member of the Drive-By Truckers, who are an excellent southern rock group if you haven't heard them, and has recently kind of gotten some notoriety. He started working with country producer Dave Cobb, who I'm a huge fan of, on his last two albums, Southeastern and Something More Than Free. Both of those are great albums. If you're looking for just excellent singer-songwriter pieces, both of those are excellent. I'm a huge fan of this guy, so I was incredibly excited to see what he would bring, especially bringing back his old band, the 400 unit. And honestly, this is easily the best country album I've heard, not just all year, but probably since Dave Cobb's Southern Family compilation last April, which was in my top 10 albums of 2016. I love that album so much to this day. Dave Cobb is able to deliver a lot in terms of production on this album. His hands are definitely all over this. On Cumberland Gap, we get these really loud guitars starting things off that plays throughout. It feels a lot like a southern rock song rather than a country song. And same for White Man's World. We kind of get some strings in the back as well as the swelling guitars. And definitely on a song like Anxiety, where the beginning almost sounds like a metal song, how it starts off and even how it ends off. I couldn't believe with just how much heavy rock influences they were able to put in this album while still making it sound like it fits in Jason Isbell's more country discography. That's definitely something that makes this album stand out from Jason Isbell's a little more reserved and quieter previous two records. As far as the songwriting, Jason Isbell is one of the best songwriters in country, period. Every song that he wrote for this album, you can definitely tell a lot of thought went into it. Whether it's some more personal songs or some songs that focus a little more on socio-political issues. We look at a song like Cumberland Gap, where Jason Isbell is singing about the plight of a mining community. This isn't something that's really brought up a lot in music in general, especially not country music. But there is obviously a large portion of America that has been dealing with the loss of coal jobs. Everyone is talking about these mining communities that have been just completely destroyed by the lack of coal jobs that have been available as of late, and this is something that really hasn't been touched upon. And Jason Isbell, who is a left-leaning country artist in a traditionally right-leaning genre, plays it a little safe, I think, which is smart. I think he does a good job of not saying anything that would really alienate any sane person, I would say, and still is able to write really potent political content. Same with the song White Man's World. Judging by the title, you might think this song is going to be really blatant and beat you over the head with its messaging, and instead it's surprisingly subdued and matured and nuanced with what it's trying to say. It's not really blaming white people for ruining everything, which a lot of other songs in this vein do. It's instead kind of saying that, he's just kind of stating the fact that he feels that white men are still in control, and I mean, if you look at statistics, they're the ones making the most money, and if you look at the current administration's cabinet, I'll let that speak for itself. It's definitely one of those songs that's saying that as white men, he feels that they kind of owe it to everyone else to kind of foster in this equality, and I think that's a really, really strong message. And it's really not just the political stuff that makes this album so great, even though I do really appreciate the fact that Jason Isbell was able to include that on here. But ever since his last album, he's had a daughter, now he's a father, and still kind of recently married. You can definitely get that more settled down, matured content on this album. Another favorite for me on here was the opening song Last of My Kind, where Jason Isbell is singing about, as someone from Alabama, he needs to now live in these bigger towns, these bigger cities, and all this change in society and whatnot is definitely making him feel a little isolated and a little out of place. And like he says, feels like he's one of the last of his kind. He's one of the last of these kind of country boys. And I think that's a really interesting thing, and it's definitely something I can relate to as someone who lives in a really rural area and kind of moved out to New York to go to college. There's definitely that huge culture shock that you feel, and this song kind of speaks to that, I believe. If We Were Vampires. And this is easily the best song on here, I think. This is one of the best songs of 2017 so far, honestly. It's a real tearjerker. It gives me chills whenever I listen to it. It's written, obviously, for his wife. And his wife, Amanda Shires, contributes backing vocals on a lot of this project. And he's singing about how the fact that one day one of them's gonna die and leave the other alone on the earth. And it's just kind of this really sad sentiment, and he's saying, if we were vampires and didn't have to worry about death, I wouldn't feel the need to hold your hand, so maybe the fact that mortality exists is a good thing. It's a thing you don't really think about, at least you try not to think about, and the fact that he's so honest about it, I think, is kind of the appeal in Jason Isbell, and what makes this song so great. And on a song like Molotov, which is another one that's great, he kind of compares himself to a Molotov cocktail, where he expected himself to burn out so young. And considering his past, for those who don't know, he actually went to rehab a few years ago and sobered up. He had a drinking and cocaine problem. And he's just kind of singing about how he didn't really expect to make it this far. He didn't expect to make it to this point in his life where he's got a wife and a kid. And Molotov kind of focusing on that, where he just feels like he's surprised he didn't burn out so young, like a Molotov cocktail. And that's another one that I just feel is so strong. And on the song Anxiety, it's definitely a really personal one. He's basically breaking down the anxiety that he's been feeling, and I mean, it's kind of all over this record. You can definitely get this sense of anxiety, whether it's worried about his community, worried about his life, his family. You definitely get a sense of anxiety from him all over this project. And I think this song is one of the best, not just because of the amazing production, just that lyrical content, like I said, is so strong. And on the song Tupelo, he's singing about how he's kind of dreaming about moving to this big city of Tupelo, which I think that's so weird that, like, Tupelo is seen as, like, this big city to him, or this, like, you know, this great place, because it's not really a town I feel most people really think about, but that's probably, I don't know, who am I to judge where Jason Isbell wants to go? And he's thinking about going to Tupelo and meeting this girl, and how all his problems are going to run away once he leaves his small town and goes to Tupelo. And he finds out that that's not the case. It's not really about where you are, it's more about who you are. And that's another one of those songs that I feel is really great. And the production, again, the fiddles on this song are really great. Dave Cobb, again, one of the best producers general working today, especially for country music. You can never go wrong with any of his projects. And then toward the end we get the song Chaos and Clothes, which is about his friend Ryan Adams, who recently divorced from his wife Mandy Moore, and he's kind of singing to Ryan Adams, kind of offering him a shoulder to cry on, kind of singing about that experience. And it's one that's personal, because I know Jason Isbell had previously been married before his current marriage now. So you can probably relate. The closing track, Something to Love, is another really heartfelt song. It's written for his daughter, and it's really cute. It's remind me a lot of what Sturgill Simpson was doing on his last album, Sailor's Guide to Earth. It's a really cute way to end this record, and I think it kind of shows, again, the family man that Jason Isbell has become since Something More Than Free. And I think it's just a really nice way to end this record. And this is a really lean record. This is about 40 minutes long, only 10 tracks. And I highly recommend it. It doesn't take that much time to listen to. And even if you're not really into country, like I said, this borrows a lot from rock and even a little bit of metal on Anxiety. So definitely check this out. This is one of the better records of this year. I'd give this like a really high A-. Definitely check this out. Definitely the best country album of the year, like I said. And Jason Isbell is just on a streak. He really can't do anything wrong right now. So I look forward to whatever happens next for him, because this was a great, great album. So do you agree, disagree with me? Do you love, hate the Nashville sound? If so, comment below. Just let me know what you're thinking about this album. And anything about how I'm doing. Third review in, and I'm still getting used to this format, but I think we're making some progress. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.